critical because we've come to a time within the development landscape that the dynamics has changed in terms of aid. When you look at the amount of money that has come into our countries and have also been given support to civil society, that money is actually dwindling quite significantly. And we also look at the fact that our development partners have also other priorities that they are thinking about at home. They cannot give us the same amounts of money that they used to give us. And if you look also at the model of donors, the model of the funding models has been based on projects, short-term projects. So the concern has always been the sustainability of projects, but not the sustainability of the sector or organizations within the sector. So this is a very important time for us, very critical time for us to look at sustainability of the sector broadly and the sustainability of organizations within West Africa.
Star Ghana sees civil society as a key constituent for the work that we do. And in fact, all the work that we do, we channel it through civil society as a conduit to get to the citizens of Ghana around issues of transparency, accountability, and governance. Now, in Star 1, Star Ghana had a call on sustainability. And in this call, organizations were able to use funding that was not focused on any projects to strengthen the internal structures of the organization. Other organizations had the opportunity to use this call to develop a succession plan where middle managements were trained to take over from the founders of the organization. Now, we also did a research with WACSI, the West African Civil Society Institute, on civil society sustainability broadly. What were the key challenges in the sector, and therefore what should we focus on in terms of strengthening the sector? In Star 2, we want to move ahead with this. And in Star 2, we have a whole non-grant strategy that is looking at sustainability of the sector and capacity building. And within this, we have several strands. One of the strands is to see how the sector is evolving and changing as a result of the contextual change that is happening. As you know, donor funds are dwindling. As you know, the donors will be exiting. However, we realize that there is still a key role for civil society to play around holding governments accountable to some of the issues that they have said they would do. So we are supporting WACSI to do regional consultations across the country, looking at the specific issues that affect civil society organizations individually, but also within the context in which they live. And we hope to use this as the basis to design a project that then looks at, we hope to use this as a basis to develop a civil society sustainability work plan for the sector. And based on that work plan, work with civil society to see how we can change the mindset of people to look at things differently. How do you shape your projects so that it's looking at social impact, so that it's looking at philanthropy, so philanthropists are interested in your project, and then you're able to also support the beneficiaries that you're working with. So in Star 2, sustainability is a key part of Star Ghana's work. We are looking at sustainability of individuals, of individual organizations, and also of the sector as a whole. And we believe that doing this will help us position civil society in a better position to continue engaging with the state and government on key issues.
I think we have to look at it from 4 dimensions. We have to look at it importantly from its operations. So if you look at a civil society's operations, do they have adequate systems and structures that enable them to be accountable? And not only accountable to where they get funding from, but accountable to those that they work with as their partners, and also accountable to their peers, right? Then you have to look at issues related to the interventions, right? When these interventions are created and are implemented, are they able to get the ownership from the communities that they work with? Are communities able to run with these interventions beyond the funding cycles? And are the communities able to scale up and sustain these interventions? That's another dimension. Then you look at the dimension of identity. You're looking at relevance and legitimacy and the connection these organizations have with their constituencies. So are they legitimate? Are they credible? Do citizens feel that these organizations are representing their interests? Are these organizations based on a constituency? So that is another important dimension. Of course, the dimension that we are all familiar with, financial sustainability. Do they have proper financial management and adequate financial management systems? Do they have a sustainability strategy or resource mobilization strategy that enables them to diversify their funding so that they don't excessively depend on external donors, but of also building capacity to mobilize resources from their own domestic constituencies? Are they able to generate resources and reinvest those resources in their organizations? So we need to look at sustainability holistically. So if you have an organization that is able to do all these four things, have these four strong dimensions, we can say they are sustainable.
We hope to see two things. One is individual organizations who are thriving, who have looked at their environment, who have identified their strengths, and who are using those strengths, who are being specialized in the fields of study and using that as a key resource for wider civil society. So that's on the individual level. At the organizational level, or at the ecosystem level, we want to see a strong and vibrant civil society that is able to provide the information that is required for civil society or for citizen and state interaction to continue. So we want the civil society sector to evolve, but still be thriving. Now, if you look at the history of civil society in Ghana from the 1950s, when civil society was helping in the struggle against independence, and some of the ways that they did that, sustainably, and moving forward to now, how do we ensure that we continue to be relevant to Ghana's development struggles? So that is on one level. The second level is also to look at the sustainability of the reforms and the sustainability of the strategic policy initiatives that civil society have advocated for. So civil society over the years have advocated for many different things. How do we ensure that these things continue to become part of the culture of ensuring that citizens in Ghana, they are able to get quality service from their states? So how do we ensure that issues like the transparency forums at district level continue? How do we ensure that when a law is passed, for example, we are working on the land rights bill with civil society, how do we ensure that when that bill is passed, it's actually implemented? So we are looking at that as well, and I think that is very important. In the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, we want to see a civil society that is thriving. We want to see a civil society that can raise its own funds, that is sustainable. We want to see a civil society that is also impacting the change that Ghana is going through. So that is what we are looking at.
So Waxy, we are enablers, we are facilitators. What we are trying to do is to basically provide that space for civil society to start even reflecting and dialoguing about issues of sustainability. So we've developed a long-term program, a regional program for the next 5 years, and we've decided to start in Ghana, where we've partnered Star Ghana and developed a sustainability program for civil society. We started by doing what we call getting the evidence. We wanted to do everything based on evidence. So we used an evidence-based approach by commissioning a research called the State of Civil Society Organization Sustainability in Ghana. And from that research, what we have done now is to start what we call national convenings around the country. The reason we are doing these national convenings in Ghana is to develop a national sustainability strategy. And what we didn't want was for us to sit with Star in Accra and basically use just our experiences. We wanted to make sure that this sustainability strategy reflects the inputs, the experiences, and the practical applications of civil society in the various regions. And so that's why we are doing these national convenings. And we're going to do convenings in the northern sector, in the middle belt, and in the southern sector, and then have an overall national conference on sustainability. At the end, what we will have is more of a holistic strategy, and we're going to go beyond that. We don't just want the strategy just to be lying there as a beautiful document. We want to actualize it. So what we're also going to do is now select several organizations from these national convenings and try to create champions through a process of actualizing the strategy. So we're going to have smaller convenings with these organizations and try to see what needs to be done practically in these 4 dimensions with these organizations to make them champions and to make them more sustainable. And then also that will also include a capacity development provision. Apart from that, we've also noticed that there's the peer learning element that is critical, and that we need civil society to know each other more. So we've developed a directory called the CSO Directory for West Africa. And what we're doing is populating the directory, encouraging civil society to register on this directory so that they get to know each other more, what they are doing, and so that they can even be more collaborative and more effective together. So that's something that is adding value to the sustainability journey that we are doing. Apart from that, we have a technology program, a technology donation program with TechSoup. And the idea is that we've seen that technology is a game changer. It changes how we do things, and it makes us more effective and more efficient. And so the TechSoup donation platform provides an opportunity for the same civil society organizations to benefit from what I call subsidized software, but software that will enable them improve their performance, their efficiency, their effectiveness, but also enable them to do proper research and to get more evidence-based data for advocacy, etc., for the work that they do. And so these are some of the elements in terms of the ingredients that we are putting into this sustainability journey. What we want to see, what we expect to see at the end of this journey is that we have now created certain champions who will go out there into their various communities and then also create a multiplier effect, and they become the standards. And I think one of the things that will really ensure that this actually actualizes and we see really significant impact is when we are also able to ensure that there's a regulatory framework, an NGO law that guides the way we do things and ensures that organizations that are actually in good standing are the organizations that become the true representatives of civil society in Ghana.
The message that I have is that the sector is changing, and we must understand that and also change. We have to adapt to the new challenges that are coming up. But to do that, we ourselves have to be able to understand our strengths and our weaknesses. What you find is that civil society organizations sometimes do not learn. They are not at the cutting edge of development, and so they are left behind. How do we ensure that we are learning in our sector? How do we ensure that we are on track? How do we ensure that we are working together to be able to move forward? The key message to civil society now is that you need to work together. You need to strengthen and understand your own skills so that you bring something to the table. Star Ghana is collaborating and coordinating and catalyzing actions towards change. And to do that, we need a strong civil society, a vibrant civil society, who would be the conduits of our work with citizens. For us, civil society is the point, the contact point with citizens. And if they are weak, then the information that gets to citizens will also be weak or will be not strong enough. But if they are strong and they know their stuff, then citizens then become more empowered to be able to take actions and demand responsiveness from government.
I think we need civil society to come together and see this as a movement, and see this as a call to action, and see this as an urgent need. We need to make sure that civil society sees this as an emergency. And I think we are getting that feeling. I think civil society believes that this is the right time. There have been a lot of discussions at the country level about Ghana beyond aid. And so the idea of living beyond the aid discussion has become extremely important. And so what civil society needs to do is to commit to this process, to apply themselves to this process, to be involved in this process and own the process and run with it. And let's see how this process evolves. I believe that there will be certain unintended but pleasurable impacts that will come out of this process that we have not foreseen. and it will be very exciting to see where we'll be in the next 10 years.